Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me, Natasha Nandini, in conversation with people who know stuff. Over the last few years, I've slowly fallen in love with a beautiful small pocket of Bavaria nestled in the mountains. I have some really good friends there, and through them, I've met some wonderful people. And one of those I would like to introduce to you today. She is a climber, an alpinist, a speaker, and a four-time world champion ice climber, Ines Papert. Ines, hey, it's so great to see you today. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Natasha, good to see you again. It's been too long ago.
Yes, it has. Hey, look, I'd love to ask you about Madagascar and Istria, but before that, I'd love to also hear what it is about ice climbing in particular that's captured your heart in comparison to, say, other forms of climbing.
Yeah. Well, I guess in my earlier days, I've been a little bit competitive, which I'm not so much anymore, but I really enjoyed the beginnings of competitions in ice climbing, and I really enjoyed playing with my ice tools and crampons on the frozen water. So I pretty soon realized that I have some sort of a talent, and not really mental challenges that slow me down or get me scared or fearful. So I became really quickly stronger and stronger. So, and I had fun climbing with the community from the entire globe. So
Mm.
later in my career, I realized that I would even more prefer to climb my own kind of routes, like the ones that I define and that I find. And yeah, so within the many years of climbing, um, I think I did a bunch of first ascents routes that have never been repeated, not even by men sometimes. But yeah, it drives me. It's the lines that form once the colder season gets in, and then they appear and disappear. And also the right timing is important to get them to be able to climb them. And so yeah, I'm not afraid about the cold. So all those things putting together, it was like, I'd say it's still one of my favorite activities when we talk about climbing in general.
Mm. And so, what would you say are the most important tools and strategies that you absolutely couldn't do without in such conditions like the uber challenging conditions?
The strategy, like
Yeah.
my strategy has always been trying to prepare myself in the best way I can, which means in terms of food, in terms of life rhythm, life balance, but also in terms of training. And once I feel well prepared and strong, I kind of don't have this fears for falling, even though it happens sometimes. But of course, it's never, yeah, really scary to me. Like I kind of like to also deal with the risk, and risk management is part of it, because otherwise I wouldn't be here anymore.
Mm.
And yeah, it's nature, it's powerful, it's like it has its risk, and but I like to figuring out how far can I go, and where is my limit, and where is the nature limiting myself, and listen to the nature. And yeah, I live a pretty close life with the nature. So, and that's
Yeah.
also one reason I'm here in Istria, a bit stuck in a mountain village up on the hills of this peninsula. It's just so powerful, so full of nature. I love it.
Mm. I mean, you talk a lot about the nature, and I think you have to have a communication or a relationship to nature to succeed in what you're doing. Maybe
Yeah,
even respect.
respect. I'm super respectful to nature. I listen to nature. I feel the nature. I feel the risk most of the time. And yeah, it gives me so much energy for my everyday life and as a climber, that and projects and ideas never run out. So it's like nature offers all the opportunities, and I see it as a gift that I am able to, to get every day. And so the other way around, I do have to gift the nature with being respectful and mindful and all those things.
I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and I've seen a lot of the things that you do, and I saw that you were doing an expedition. So, I mean, how could you explain like how you put an expedition together, how many people are on your team, etc., etc.?
Natasha, that's depending on the goal, the actual goal, because once you have a goal, you think about the team, or the goal appears with the right team. So usually let's say my favorite kind of size of a team is 2, maximum 3 people. So smaller teams make many things easier, some other things harder, because you have to carry more stuff in your pack than if you divide the loads within a bunch of people, but also otherwise you can move way faster in a difficult mountain terrain, like with a smaller group. So, and I have to trust the team. So if like this, the size, the number is not so much important to me. It's more like the trust to my climbing partners, because it's my life hanging on the other end of the rope.
For sure, for
And you
sure.
spend really intense times during expeditions in a tent, shivering, waiting for weather. And so it has to be a special connection within the team.
Yeah. And what about altitude? How do you prepare for the altitude? Can you prepare?
You can prepare, yes. On top of all, I think it's necessary to enter the higher peaks in the right fitness. So you're prepared in terms of cardio training and carrying loads and loads every day at home in the home mountains. But as you know, in Bavaria, we have those hills, these wonderful hills. It's the perfect training zone for me. And of course, once you're on an expedition, you go slowly higher and go up, back down again. Then you go a bit higher, go back down again. Then you sleep higher once, you go back down again. It's a lot of up and down. And but that's really necessary to get your body used to the different pressure system, and also the oxygen gets less and less. So I have to go slow and always remind myself to breathe and to, have a good rhythm in between movement and breathing.
I mean, it didn't occur to me, but now that you say it, it makes complete sense to go up and then down and then up and down. It really makes sense. Have you ever been in a situation where altitude has started to play tricks on your mind?
Yes.
What does that feel like?
You have to be really mindful to realize those things going on in your body and in your head. And that's also one reason why you have to be a team that is playing really well with each other. You have to know each other. And once you realize the other person is just talking bullshit, hey, that's a sign. We just go down. There's no other way to keep going. So of course, this is part of what we are doing.
I mean, as you said, it's kind of life and death. So, what about, what happens if you're exhausted and things don't go to plan? How do you deal with that?
If I'm exhausted, that's usually not such a terrible situation. That's often the case in the higher peaks, because all the physical effort and the climbing, the heavy loads you are carrying. But once you get headache, or you feel kind of not in balance anymore, or you have a hard time breathing, that's signs that we really are taking care on. And then that's a moment when you better return down to lower elevations.
And what would you say are your strongest qualities in terms of mindset? And are there areas where you feel there's room for improvement?
What was your last question again?
Are there areas within, your mindset that you feel you have room for improvement?
Okay, improvement. Well, speaking for myself, I'd say I'm a random person. I have my goals and I really want to get to whatever summit I have in mind. And I can be really focused on that, but still listening to my body, to my mental part, like mental situation. But I'm not like, I'm not a scared person. I'm not too worried. I'm a person that in life is generally really positive minded and looking forward to any kind of situation that comes towards me. And I think that created some sort of skills to myself, dealing with everyday kind of troubles kind of easier than before I became a climber. So like maybe that explains also why I love climbing so much. It's like, it helps me to in my everyday life, every minute, every second. And it's not just the physical kind of effort. And of course, it's a lot of mental things to deal with. But yeah, I'd say I like both, but also how it affects my life in general and the community. Imagine how many people I met over the years of traveling and how many friends I made with all the incredible places I've been able to visit.
For sure.
And that's something I really appreciate. It became part of my life. Not just a sport, it's some sort of lifestyle. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, so is there a particular climb or expedition that has had a profound impact on you that you could share, you remember, and you could share with us?
Oh, there's many that had an impact, but I'd say my last Himalayan expedition didn't go as well as I expected. It was supposed to be my first 8,000-meter peak. I was just curious. I didn't want it to, have another list of things being done in my whatever things to do. I was curious, how would my body deal with the 8,000-meter peak? And I have really, really straightforward ethics. Like when it comes to climbing, I don't not just go climbing to reach the top, but the route, the line matters to me. The route that has maybe never been climbed, or a route that gets really rare attempts or ascents. And a normal route where hundreds of people, like in a tourism style with a bottle of oxygen in their bags, walk up. That's not what I'm interested in at all. So we went actually to really powerful mission. We got into a snowstorm overnight, even though the weather was forecasted really good and stable, but the forecast was wrong apparently. And it started snowing, and with the amount of snow above us, the entire slope started to slide, and
Wow.
smaller avalanche became bigger and bigger and fell right onto our tent and buried the tent where we were sleeping that night. But for some reason, I couldn't fall asleep same evening, and I was like moving from one side to another, and I could hear the snow falling onto the tent, and I was just worried and scared, which I'm usually not so much.
Well,
and luckily I didn't fall asleep, because I could feel the pressure of the snow pushing onto the tent and was already pushing me on my body. And I woke up my partner and we broke the tent. We disappeared off the tent, and we just could watch the tent being buried within like below 3 meters of snow. And we were stuck in a really terrible situation because all the climbing gear was buried as well, because it was in the tent. And then it was another couple hours in the dark to get all the gear out from this avalanche, but we were still worried it would come again. And yeah, finally we got all the ropes and gear we needed to be able to return back to the base of the mountain. Otherwise, yeah, I don't even want to think about what happened if we wouldn't. But anyways, it was like, I think for sure my most intense and least positive experience, and that is still sitting inside. And I'm sure I'm not going to try or attempt an 8,000-meter peak again. It's just such a big piece of mountain. It's so powerful. There's so much risk that we cannot really predict. And yeah, I decided that's not worth it. And I've been doing so many other amazing climbs up to nearly 7,000 meters, which I'm still proud about. And every single expedition was a success. So I can easily live with this decision to not go back. Otherwise, I'm not a person that gives up easily.
Yeah, no, you're not, Ines. I know that about you. So look, I mean, it must also take quite a big adjustment to come to do such an expedition, not just this one, but any expedition, and then come back to daily life. How is it a big shift? How do you adjust to that?
Well, usually after an expedition, I'm really happy to go back home to see my family and friends. And yeah, that's my local community. And yeah, doing other sports as well after really intense time is really helpful. I do paragliding, I do biking, skiing, all those things. But yeah, and we actually met on a yoga session, you and myself. And
that's right, in the kitchen first. Actually, it was in the kitchen, and I gave you an impromptu yoga class in the kitchen. That's
it
right.
was so good. And yeah, that's also one of those activities I kind of like to do. And that helps me to, keep my flexibility and it's some sort of meditation, but like I'm more this kind of physical, practicing yoga person. But other than that, breathing and being mindful to yourself and just, yeah, move your body in a way that is kind of natural, as much as climbing is for me natural. So I think those two, I wouldn't say sports because it's lifestyles, it's activities, but yeah, those two things, they match really well with each other. And yeah, you were the person that kind of started the thing going on in my head. And since then, I've been doing yoga more and more.
I'm so happy to hear that, Ines. I was going to ask you if you're still doing yoga. That's great.
Yes, not often enough, but when I have a climbing project and I know I have to move my leg left up high and you have to do some crazy movements, and I do yoga before, I have a way easier time doing this move. And all of a sudden, it's not just pure power and pure will and motivation, but it's also flexibility. And yeah, I've never been really injured, or not really, since during all the years I've been doing climbing, because I think taking care on your body and listen to your small little issues and doing something to, keep the balance is really helpful and helped me a lot to, still climb hard. I'm now 50 years old and I still don't see a reason to quit or to get retired.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about your day-to-day training. I know that you have in your garage a sort of gym. Our mutual friend told me that.
Yeah, well, I'm more this outdoor person. If the weather really doesn't cooperate, I do some gym training indoors, but other than that, I prefer to even sometimes go climbing in the rain when the rocks are steep enough, like on this side. You stay dry and you can, you might not have the perfect conditions, but it's still, it creates also some durability. You say that, durability?
Endurance, maybe.
Yeah, endurance and how to get along with maybe semi-perfect conditions, and not to get too soft. I could always train in a heated climbing gym with cappuccino here and pizza there. Just it's just you drive in front to the door, but I would get soft, and I don't like that. So there's no everyday kind of rhythm and routine, because I just follow my instinct, and depending on what my next project is going to be. But yeah, usually it's somehow connected to climbing, either short routes and more powerful, or longer routes, more endurance climbing, depending what my project is. And recently I've been in Madagascar climbing big walls. So I knew I have to be able to keep going after pitch 10 or after 300-400 meters, because the wall was about 600-700 meters. So that, of course, influences my training. If I only do short routes and stop after 3 pitches, I'm not prepared at all. So the project gives me the reason to train, and that's why I kind of like to have goals and projects and to travel for some sort of expeditions here and there.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm going to ask you about Madagascar in a minute, but just before we move on to that, do you have any techniques for cultivating stamina, personal techniques that you can share with us?
Yeah, I have my sling trainers, but back at home in Bavaria, they have 2 slings in my hands and 2 slings on my feet. And I'm kind of, in the air, but all the 4 points are like in this kind of position, So I'm hanging in an unstable kind of situation. And then I'm doing this kind of things to move my legs towards my belly, or to the right and to the left. So that gives me a lot of core power. And yeah, otherwise just climbing.
Yeah, climbing. I mean, I've only done climbing once, and I have to say, it was quite interesting because there's kind of like a mental split that takes place. It's like the lower mind, or one part of my mind, knew that it was in danger because my hands were shaking and my voice was quivering. But there was like this other part of my mind where that lower part was all quite quiet, and this other part was like seeing out of eyes where everything was sparkling, and it's like my awareness was like crystal clear. It was such a strange feeling. I've never ever had that, even in yoga higher states.
That's
What is
interesting.
that? Is that adrenaline, or what is that?
I think it's some sort of meditation, because you're so focused that there's nothing else going on in your mind. And that's, for me, actually the best kind of meditation. But yeah, we can repeat that. And once you're here in Istria, I would love to take you climbing. We've got all the equipment here, and yeah, let's go climbing.
Thanks, Ines. That would be great. Yeah. Hey, do you have any any advice for any budding climbers?
Any what?
Any advice for climbers, for climbers or people who love climbing who are not professional?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's always worth to work on your weaknesses. There's more technical kind of climbs, there's more overhanging and powerful kind of situations, and depending where I feel great, usually I tend to go there and want to push myself more and more in a direction where I feel strong already. But that just helps my ego to become stronger, not really my weaknesses, to get rid of my weaknesses. So I kind of like to do what I'm not so good at, and that's where I grow the most. Yeah.
Same as in the yoga, same. Got to go to those poses that you're just finding a little bit uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, tell me a little bit more about Madagascar, because I was watching your posts on Instagram, and the work that you were doing with the local children, especially.
Oh yeah, that was actually the best part of the entire expedition, because I've been climbing so much in my life already that I more and more enjoy sharing with people, and getting people into climbing is especially in places like Madagascar, where the kids never had a chance to practice climbing if they wouldn't have the people to show it, to introduce it to them, or renting the gear to do it. So it was to see this, happy eyes while we were doing it. It was worth all the journey to go there. It's a far destination, and like, and they moved so natural, like in a so natural way. We tried to provide them climbing shoes. You know what they did after one route? They throw them away and said,
Really?
no, we want to climb bar feet. This is
Wow.
way, they didn't say it, but I could see it. What they moved way better. Their movement was way more natural without climbing shoes. And there was no fears, the 100% trust. And even though the communication was kind of difficult because I don't speak Madagascar, I don't speak French, but it was really one of those days where I went to sleep and I was like, holy shit, I wish I could repeat that every day again and again. And yeah, we showed them some like rocks where they could go climbing themselves with spotting each other. So they wouldn't need a rope, they wouldn't need a harness, just traversing above the ground. But I could see in their eyes, I want to go up, I want to go high. And yeah, we arranged some deal with a local guy that runs a camp there. He is from Europe, and he promised to give the kids the gear whenever they wanted and help them to grow in what they just had their first experience with. So hopefully next time I come there, they are still climbing, and yeah, I could see they really love it.
And so you are planning to go back, and will it be for the children or for something else?
For the children. I would just go back for the children.
Great,
Yeah.
great. And now tell me about Istria, because I know that you've been working on this beautiful place that you're in right now for about 4 years. So
Oh, even longer, Natasha.
really,
Luka and I bought this place in 2017, and yeah, it's now 7 years almost. And yeah, it was a pile of stone. This old farmer's house was falling apart, and another small little house in the center of the village, as broken and as, yeah, old as that one. And we were in love with both kind of, locations. It's just sitting on the bottom of the biggest climbing crack in Istria. I will show you right away. If you're looking out of the window, here you can see the rocks of Istria, and hundreds of routes are there in all kind of difficulties. And then when you walk down the road and turn left, you find a small house, which we renovated first to also learn how to do it, because we had this vision in mind, or this idea of creating a community space, base camp for climbers, for outdoor people, for people that love the nature and that love the peaceful part of the world. And yeah, here we are. The two houses are renovated, and it was a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it was all worth it.
it's amazing. And you've got a beautiful yoga room there that I see.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, we did not really fill it with useless stuff, because yeah, we like doing yoga here with 8 to 10 people, and it's, yeah, sometimes a truck would pass the farmer, and with the piles of cow shit on the back, and they would like passing the big window, but then would stop. I was like, what the hell are they doing? We are in a really basic part of Europe, where here's farming, here is simple life. Yoga is something they never heard about, but they are curious. People are curious, and they respect our ideas, and yeah, we love to have this house available for climbers, but also for people that enjoy doing yoga or maybe some hiking in the really pure nature.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful place for that. I'm looking forward to doing some yoga in that room there in
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of weeks when I come. Um,
we've got all the equipment, and so yeah, we just need you to
Fantastic.
visit.
That'll be great. Just on another note, what's the nearest airport for people if there's anyone that was looking to come to your center?
I think for international destinations like overseas, you would fly to Zagreb and we would arrange a shuttle to come here, or you get a rental car. But you could also fly to Venice, to Ljubljana. Yeah, there's no airport closer than a couple hours.
But I
Yeah,
mean, Europeans can drive to you quite easily.
yeah, from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, people
Italy,
would usually drive. Yeah.
for sure. Ines, thank you so much. It's been so enlightening for you to share your knowledge with us. I'm so grateful. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Natasha.
Thanks, Ines. Thank you. So, look, I'm going to put Ines's details below for anyone who's interested in the retreat center, but also her Instagram page, which you might want to follow her. On another note, I was supposed to be talking to Easter Bonifield about Vedic astrology, but Hurricane Helene got in the way. So that will be next week. And I hope to have that for you in a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, take care and see you soon. Bye bye for now.